Today, I will guide you on how to immerse your wonderful imagination directly into the feeling of your wish fulfilled and maintain that state as you drift into sleep. I assure you, based on my personal experiences, that the state in which you fall asleep plays a crucial role. If you can genuinely feel yourself existing within the scenario of your wish fulfilled and persist in that feeling until sleep overtakes you, immerse yourself in that state until it gains all the nuances and sensory richness of reality. While maintaining this in a state of tranquility, allow yourself to enter the realm of sleep, and in a manner beyond conscious planning, you will discover a sequence of events unfolding, leading to the tangible realization of that desired state. Now, let's discuss a practical technique. The initial step is to precisely identify what you want in this world. Once you have a clear understanding of your desire, create the most lifelike representation of what you would visually perceive, touch, and physically engage in within that state. For instance, let's say I desire a house but currently lack the financial means. Nevertheless, I would conceptualize my desire without entertaining any limitations. I would construct an authentic representation of the house I long for, complete with all the elements I desire inside it. Then, as night falls and I transition into a drowsy, dreamy state on the threshold between wakefulness and sleep, I would envision myself truly present within that house. I would step out of bed onto the floor of that imaginary dwelling. If I decided to leave the room, I would enter the adjacent room within my mental construct. As I interact with the furnishings, feeling their tangible reality, I would surrender to sleep in that state. I am confident that, in a way not consciously devised, the realization of my house would unfold. I have witnessed this unfold several times. If, for instance, I aspire to ascend in my professional career, I would contemplate the additional responsibilities I would assume with a significant promotion. What actions would I take? What would I say? What would I witness? How would I behave? Subsequently, in my imagination, I would initiate a process of visualizing, touching, doing, and acting as if I were genuinely occupying that elevated position. In the case of seeking the love of my life, whether desiring a wonderful woman or a wonderful man, I would imagine engaging in activities that signify finding my desired state. As a hypothetical example, if I were a woman, one action would be wearing a wedding ring. I would extend my imaginary hand and sense the ring I envision, persisting until it assumes a solid and genuine quality in my perception. I would infuse it with all the sensory vividness within my capacity. While feeling the presence of my imaginary ring, indicating a marriage status, I would embrace sleep. This narrative echoes the sentiments expressed in the Song of Solomon, also referred to as the Song of Songs. It states, "By night on my bed, I sought the one I love. I sought him but did not find him. I will rise now and go about the city. In the streets and in the squares I will seek the one I love. I sought him but did not find him. The watchmen who go about the city found me. I said, 'Have you seen the one I love?' Scarcely had I passed by them when I found the one I love. I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him to the house of my mother and into the chamber of her who conceived me." This exquisite poem, if translated into contemporary English using practical language, would read as follows: "While seated in my chair, I would immerse myself in the scenario of my wish fulfilled, and having felt that state, I wouldn't release it. I would keep that feeling alive, and in that state, I would drift into sleep, leading to the room of my mother, to the chamber of the one who conceived me." People, you see, are often unaware of this incredible power of imagination. However, when they begin to discover this power within them, they no longer play the role they had previously assigned to it. They don't revert to being merely the reflective line thereafter. Imagination is the essence of life. The secret lies in conveying to your imagination the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remaining within it. Our ability to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled determines our capacity to live a more abundant life. Many of us hesitate to imagine ourselves as significant and noble individuals, to believe in our contribution to the world. This hesitation arises because, at the moment we start assuming this, our reason and senses contradict the truth of our assumption. It appears that we are influenced by an unconscious impulse that compels us to cling desperately to the world of familiar things and resist anything that seems to pull us away from our familiar and seemingly secure anchors. When I encourage you to try, you will discover this profound wisdom of the ancients. They conveyed this message in their unique and marvelous symbolic language. Regrettably, we often misinterpret their stories, treating them as history when their intent was to provide guidance for achieving our goals. Imagination connects us with the world of states. These states exist. They are present now, but remain possibilities as long as we merely think of them. However, they become incredibly real when we think from them and dwell in them. There is a significant distinction between thinking of what you want in this world and thinking from what you want. Let me share when I first learned about this remarkable and mysterious power of imagination. It occurred in 1933 in the city of New York. An old friend of mine imparted this wisdom to me. He turned to chapter 14 of John and read the following: "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also." He explained to me that the central character in the Gospels was the human imagination, and that the mansion was not a place in some celestial dwelling, but simply my desire. If I vividly represented the desired state and remained in that state, I would realize it. At that time, I desired to travel to the island of Barbados in the Caribbean, but lacked the funds. He clarified that if, while sleeping in New York that night, I assumed I was sleeping in my father's house in Barbados and fell asleep in that state, I would realize my trip. Well, I believed him and tried for a month, night after night. As I fell asleep, I assumed I was in my father's house in Barbados. At the end of the month, I received an invitation from my family to spend the winter in Barbados. In December of that year, I departed for Barbados. From that moment, I knew I had discovered this Savior within myself. The old man assured me it would never fail, yet even after it happened, I could hardly believe it wouldn't have happened anyway. That's how this whole phenomenon unfolds. Those were the words of Neville Goddard himself. Thank you for watching until the end.